I've talked to a lot of people who swear by cheap pocket-sized drones, only to end up with blurry footage, a dead battery after 10 minutes, and a crash that leaves them wishing they'd spent a little more. That "I should have saved a few bucks" feeling is real, and it's why I'm a bit skeptical every time a new combo hits the market. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Air 2S Fly More Pro Vlogger combo tries to sit right between the bargain bin flyers and the professional rigs, so the question is, does it actually feel like a smarter buy, or is it just another overpriced toy? First off, let's talk about the moment you pull the DJI RC out of the case. The screen is bright enough to read in full daylight, and the interface feels like you're holding a mini tablet rather than a clunky remote. There's a learning curve. Sure, you have to scroll through a few menus to set your preferred video mode and to enable the obstacle sensing toggles, but the layout is logical enough that most hobbyists get comfortable after a couple of practice flights. What matters most is that the drone remembers your last settings, so you're not forced to reconfigure everything every time you head out to the park or a rooftop. Autofocus on the Air 2S is where it starts to separate itself from the cheaper alternatives. The 1-inch CMOS sensor, paired with DJI's phase detection AF, locks onto subjects in a split second, even when you're chasing a moving dog or a cyclist. I tested it on a windy beach at sunset. The focus stayed on a kite surfer while the background softened nicely. In low-light situations, the larger sensor gathers more light than the 1/2.3-inch chips you find on entry-level drones, so you still get usable footage at 5.4K without the grain that makes cheap footage look like a night video. It's not a cinema-grade sensor, but for a creator who wants to add aerial brawl to a vlog or a small documentary, the results feel professional enough to hold up on YouTube. Stabilization is another practical strength. The 3-axis gimbal stays locked even when you throw the drone into a sudden gust. I did a quick test by flying through a light drizzle and then into a brief pocket of turbulence. The footage stayed buttery smooth, and the rolling horizon was barely noticeable. The built-in Quickshot and Master Shots modes take advantage of that stability, letting you create cinematic pans, orbits, and reveal shots with a single button press. For someone who isn't comfortable manually piloting every frame, these modes act like a shortcut to a polished look without the need for post-flight editing. Battery confidence is a common worry for anyone stepping up from the 10-minute runtimes of cheap drones. The Fly More Pro bundle includes 2 extra batteries, and DJI's claim of around 31 minutes per charge holds up in real-world testing when you keep the flight profile moderate. If you push the drone hard racing it around a forest canopy or using aggressive acceleration, you'll see the clock dip closer to the low 20-minute range, which is still a big improvement over the 812 minutes you get with budget models. The real benefit is the smart battery indicator that warns you about temperature-related performance drops, so you aren't caught off guard by a sudden power loss. Now, who should actually consider this combo? If you're a vlogger who wants to add aerial storytelling without hiring a separate cinematographer, the Air 2S gives you a portable, all-in-one solution. Its built-in camera eliminates the need to attach lenses or worry about gimbal calibration, and the intelligent shooting modes let you produce content quickly. Hobbyists who have already outgrown the beginner drones but aren't ready to invest in a full-size Mavic 3 will also find the price-to-feature ratio appealing, especially with the extra batteries included. The drone is light enough to fit in a backpack, yet its obstacle sensing system works in 4 directions, which adds a safety net for pilots who still make the occasional misjudgment. On the flip side, seasoned aerial photographers who demand interchangeable lenses, higher dynamic range, or array-only workflows might feel limited. The Air 2S has a fixed-focal-length lens, so you can't zoom optically or swap out optics for a different field of view. If you need the absolute maximum image quality for commercial work, you'll probably look at the larger Mavic or Inspire lines. Also, the DJI RC, while convenient, is a separate purchase if you ever want a smartphone-based controller, which adds a small hidden cost that some buyers overlook. Finally, the menu system, though intuitive, still contains a few layers that can be confusing for absolute beginners. Spend a little time in the simulator mode before you head out to a crowded location. Practical weaknesses show up when you try to push the drone into edge case scenarios. The obstacle sensors are great for most everyday obstacles, trees, poles, walls, but they can be fooled by thin wires or reflective surfaces, so you still need to keep eyes on the horizon. I tried flying through a narrow alley with glass storefronts and the drone clipped the edge of